because quarterback is so valuable. I can see giving a running back another year or a pass rusher or a tight end. But if you're wrong at quarterback, shouldn't you just bail? Anthony Richardson's a great example. Now, he's only 23 years old, and he only started 1 year at Florida, so he's very inexperienced. But it doesn't work at all. He has had a top 10 run game, a better-than-average O-line, excellent offensive coach. He's getting worse. Like, it's again, Josh Allen started slow, got really interesting, popped. You can't go backwards. So it's interesting. Arizona moved off Josh Rosen after 1 year. They were right. Pittsburgh moved off Kenny Pickett after 2. They were right. Niners moved off Trey Lance very early. They were right. Cleveland moved off Johnny Manziel, 8 starts. They were right. Eagles signed Carson Wentz, then moved off him quickly. They were right. When you try to validate your draft pick like the Jags with Blake Bortles or the Giants with Daniel Jones, that is when you get into trouble. You're lying to yourself, right? You're like trying to validate your pick. And I look at Anthony Richardson, and he went from 59% completion percentage. Then the NFL defensive coordinators got video on him. He's down to 47%. That's the lowest of any quarterback in 25 years with 15 starts, right? So call the lawyers, get the paperwork ready. It's divorce time. Like, I just don't think it works. I know he's young, but I just don't think it works. There was a game last year against Houston. He had his best throw as a pro. It was 70 yards over the top. He stumbled. And the kid's by all accounts, he's a nice guy. He got into pressure. You see it here. He stumbled out and he let it go right on the money. But it's not that he misses on throws. Same game against Houston. He misses short throws badly. Like, he's not remotely close. So it's one of those things where, a movie can't just be about one great scene. You got to have, even in the middle, you can be slow for about 10 minutes, but you got to make the story arcs connect. When you see that 70-yard throw, you could argue that Drew Brees couldn't make that throw and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady aren't making that throw, but they're consistent. And I think with Anthony Richardson, every other position in football, I am more than willing to give, outside of maybe left tackle. A guy can play or he can't. I'll give you another year. But at quarterback, everybody's kind of tied to it. And I think you get into a situation right now in Indianapolis with Jonathan Taylor, Shane Steichen, good old line, weak division. It's getting worse.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So here's the thing. I think it's okay to still give him a chance and still give him an opportunity. But it's more like you better show it to me now. Like in practice, in camp preseason, like you're not just guaranteed to get a start or to have the keys to the kingdom just because, it's like you got to show me that you are indeed the starting quarterback. And if you show me that, then it's like, okay, I'm willing to go with some of the ups and downs throughout a season within reason. But there is no kind of like, hey, we drafted him, he's on our team, he's got to be the number one no matter what happened. Like we got to put him out there. He's QB1. It's like, no, that's not necessarily the case. Like, you haven't, you're not owed that. No one's really technically owed that. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, if they start playing awful for 1 year, and like truly awful, like a backup quarterback level, people be like, okay, that was a really bad year. All right, I don't know. That was just a bad year. Next year, things are going to be different. And then they do it again. But there's the real conversation of like, ooh-ho, they lost it. I don't know. Is he injured? Like, what's the story? Like, you start to have conversations of like, all right, I guess they're no longer in their prime. They just fell off a cliff. And you start to have like real conversations of like, how many times can we do this? This was back-to-back seasons of him playing worse than, the 25th best quarterback in the NFL. Like, you have serious conversations. You're certainly going to have those conversations with a quarterback who hasn't obviously been that great. So it's an unfortunate situation. And the thing is like, and I've said this too before with AR, it's like I've seen some of his plays and you're just like that's like some of the most extraordinary things you could ever imagine. And then you see some really bad, and Colin said this consistency, And I talk about this all the time, that what truly makes someone great is consistency. There are absolutely undeniable backup quarterbacks currently and throughout the NFL for years that can do things pretty amazingly, that can make throws like Tom Brady and Drew Brees, that can even extend plays like that of Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen, that can truly do some really special, awesome stuff, that can go on runs, that can just do some stuff that you're just like, whoa, that was amazing. But they can't consistently do it. Not only can they not consistently do the great things, but they can't even consistently do the good things. And I've talked about this a lot before as well, is that there's so many different variations of what makes a quarterback like not good enough to be a starter. Sometimes it's like your floor is just too low in any given moment, and it's just so up and down that we have no stability here. Sometimes it's just you can't actually reach that high. Like, you actually can't do the things that those other quarterbacks can do, and you're good and your floor is pretty good, but like it's just not enough when we need to call your number. You can't get there. And so, paying you this money and moving forward with you, it just doesn't make sense. We have to roll the dice on another quarterback, another draft pick, whatever it is. There's just a million different variations of all of this. And so that's why you can't get seduced to, you know, too easily by a player who can really show you some eye-popping stuff, some really, you know, I remember that throw that Colin is talking about. And I see a lot of fans point out to some of his highs and be like, this is what he did, this is what he did, like this is amazing, like he's clearly good, he just needs time to develop. And it's like, the problem is his floor and some of the things that he's doing, like it's really bad. And you can't be inaccurate on 10-yard throws, 15-yard throw. I mean, like you can't miss like that. Like, and there's certain young quarterback issues that you could give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, oh, he feels a little rushed, or he's holding onto the ball, or he's getting fooled a little bit. You could be more forgiving about some of those things, because that should change with better coaching and experience, and just getting more comfortable and whatnot. But like some of the issues that he has, you're just like this is like, you should be able to, this is high school stuff, like the some of the, you're missing some of these layups where it's just like, it's just pitch and catch and you're not doing it, and you don't have the excuse of like, well, you don't have a good coach, or that you have a bad O-line, or this, or like, no, like, and I'm a firm believer in Shane Sten, and listen, Shane Steichen might not be the best head coach overall in terms of what it takes to be like a great head coach, but in terms of how to run an offense, how to play call, how to game plan, how to adjust, right? He is great at that. He has that proven record. So it's one thing if this team was just kind of a great big mess, and you're just kind of like, well, who could who could be successful on a team like this? Kind of like what we saw with the Chicago Bears or Cleveland Brown teams, in the past and whatnot. But that's not the case here. You could say, maybe Shane Steichen's not great at getting this team ready to play or running practices or whatever it is. But like when it's time to like get after it in the game and the game plan and all that, like the one thing that they should have correct with Shane Stein should be the quarterback. And again, if Shane Second's a bad head coach, then you would be able to say, well, the defense is a mess and the offense is a mess. Like in terms of like lots of penalties and people seem unprepared. But you wouldn't be able to point to the quarterback as like, he looks lost out there. He looks uncomfortable out there. He's making really wildly inaccurate throws. Like, those are all the things that your great offensive head coach, that those are going to be easy check boxes to, check boxes to check off. And you don't have it there. You don't have it there. And that's, to me, probably the most concerning thing out of it all. Honestly, I'm trying to think if there's another good example of a team that was clearly a mess, but had like either a great offensive coordinator or a great offensive head coach, and it was still, you're still able to have a lot of success there. I mean, kind of in a lot of ways, like you could maybe make the argument Zach Taylor with Joe Burrow would maybe be a decent example of that. Mike McCarthy, although I think Mike McCarthy is actually a pretty good head coach in terms of running offenses and running teams as a whole, and delegating responsibilities. I can't think of a decent example off top of my head of a team that's clearly just a mess, but was still able to get stability with at the quarterback position because of coaching. But, you know, that's just what I would be expecting. And Richardson doesn't have it. And I would be willing to say, like, okay, this is the year, but like after this, like after the beginning of, the first 3, 4, 5 games, like, and if he's not shown, if Daniel Jones is clearly proving to be the better quarterback in practices and camp and everything, then it's just like, I mean, that's just, then it is what it is. I don't know if much more needs to be said then. So, but we'll see. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about AR? Do you think he still has time to prove it? Do you think the Colts should move off of him? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here and absolutely love seeing you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.